This show is for everyone working at the coalface. Digital, business, marketing, social. This is At the Coalface with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello everybody, I'm Jason Greenwood. Welcome to episode 54 of At the Coalface. I'm going to get stuck straight in today. We're going to be talking about some scenarios that I think are developing in the e-commerce space that I think are going to be quite interesting to you. I'm going to start by building a picture, a scenario, talking about a couple of different scenarios, and then start to kick the creative juices flowing. So obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you'll be able to visualize hopefully this story in your mind, or this workflow, this experience in your mind, and then we can go from there and we can sort of expand out our thoughts a little bit from there. So what I want to talk about today is dynamic pricing in e-commerce. In future episodes, we'll talk about some dynamic promotions. We're going to talk a little bit more depth about personalization technology and customizing the entire customer journey really at a one-to-one level. So that really blends the concepts of marketing and technology and experience and brand and all of the other things that have to do with really the growth of e-commerce and omni-channel across many different experiential touch points. So the first thing I want you to imagine alongside me today is a scenario whereby you could send out, let's say you have an e-commerce website, let's say you're an omni-channel or a pure play e-tailer, and you would like to make sure in an automated fashion that you are competitive with the market, but not too competitive. So where you see an opportunity to increase your prices, you obviously want to optimize your pricing to where you're making the most margin that the market will support, but you also don't want to price yourself out of the market. So imagine you could sign up to a website that offered a service whereby that website's service would go and scrape a defined set of competitors' websites. So you would define who your major competitors are. That service would then go and scrape that website for all of its product catalog. So it would scroll down through its website, it would follow all the product links, it would scrape as much information off that site as possible. So it would scrape the name of the products, it would scrape off the SKU, it would scrape off the pricing, it would scrape off the URLs of specific products, and as much detail, all the different product attributes, the descriptions and everything. It would scrape as much information off of those sites, those competitor sites as possible. Now imagine also that it could do it in a tailored way, in such a way that it would understand all of the major e-commerce platforms, and it would understand the product page layout and also the way that the internal linking of those websites work, such that it's highly accurate in the data that it collects off of that website, much like Google scrapes websites. So imagine that. Now imagine that it could auto-match. It could scrape your own website, or you could supply that same service with a product feed of your own, with the URLs and all of the other product information that you've got. Now imagine that it could, using artificial intelligence and using machine learning, it could automatically make some educated guesses around which products are the same. So judging by your names, your product SKUs, your descriptions, everything else, it could do some intelligent matching between those products, and it could say product A from your website matches product B from this competitor's website of yours. Now imagine that you could also take that one step further, that service that existed out there on the interwebs, you could take a feed from that website and you could say, okay, I know what these products are matching now, so my product A matches their product B, and you could go and pull in the pricing of those products from product B on your competitor's website. Then you could make some intelligent and rational rules as that pricing feed was coming into your website. You could apply some intelligent rules to that pricing to say, okay, we're going to match those prices, or we're going to beat them by 5, 10, 15%, so long as our margin is not below 30%, or so long as our margin is not below 20%. So you could apply some intelligent rules to do that. So, and then dynamically, you could adjust your website's pricing to be higher or lower based on that very specific rule set. You could set a margin percentage at a specific brand level. So let's say you carry a bunch of brands. You could say, well, on this particular brand range, we need to make 30%. On this particular brand range, we're quite happy making 20%. On this brand range, we need to make 50%, whatever the case may be. And then you could apply other rules. So you could say, okay, well, I know what this website's going to charge for shipping to destination, so you could apply those sets of rules. And you could say, okay, well, let's add the cost of shipping to those product prices so that we get a fair and accurate representation of what the real end customer is actually going to pay for those products if they buy from our region, from that website. And you can apply a whole raft of different rules as those prices come in from that website so that you could dynamically and automatically adjust your website prices to always be market competitive. So you can maximize your margin, maximize your profit, or strategically decrease your profit on specific ranges, specific brands, specific products to penetrate a market, to start capturing some market share. You could have all sorts of different pricing strategies and the associated rules along with that once you had that pricing intelligence coming in from your competitors' websites. Now, the reality is that technology exists today. This is not sci-fi fantasy. This is something that already exists today. And you are able to do that. There's many different pricing intelligence, competitor price monitoring services out there in the marketplace. There's Price2Spy, Price, the number 2, SPY. There's a number of other major, well-known price monitoring and reporting and business intelligence services out there in the marketplace. Now, the only thing you need to do from your side, generally these services provide an API, which means that you can connect to their service via computer and pull that data down in an automated fashion. So those services generally provide a web interface whereby you can set up alerts when certain prices on specific products go past a specific threshold or drop below a specific threshold or drop below a certain percentage below your products. You can set all those rules up in their web interface, and then typically the way that they do it without automation is that they will fire off an email to you, a defined email address, to let you know when those different rules have been matched and been hit. Send you the list of URLs of the products that have matched those rules that you have set. So that's the kind of manual way to do it. And then typically what you would do from there is you would manually update your pricing on your website based on those alerts that have come into your inbox. But obviously that's very time consuming. So that's maybe a good first step to make sure that you're always competitive on price, but we want to automate this. And so what you would want to do at that point is you would want to create a piece of middleware, a connection between their API and all of this rich business intelligence coming out of this price monitoring platform, and you would want to automate the updating of your prices within certain criterion thresholds so that you do not have to do that manually, especially if you've got a large catalog of products. Let's say you got several thousand products. Updating those prices daily, even weekly, would be an absolute massive chore if you're doing it manually. Even if you're uploading it via CSV, it would be a massive chore. So obviously what we want to do is we want to set some rules. We want to set some responsible rules that meet our strategic goals in the market, and we want to automate that process. So you're going to need to write a connection between the service API and the website API. Alternatively, actually in a best case scenario, what you'd be doing is you'd be writing a connection between your ERP or your back office system, so your accounting system, your financial system, your ERP, whatever it is that is the master for prices. If it's your website, then you'll have to connect directly to your website. But because typically most omni-channel businesses, they'll have a back office system such as an ERP that will then feed pricing out to all of their endpoints, to all of the channels that they need pricing sent to. Typically they'll do that via a master price ledger of some variety. Typically that resides in an ERP or an accounting or finance system. And so that's where you would typically want that connection to be. So all that rich business intelligence coming in, flowing through an integration layer of some variety, whether it be web services, API, CSV, some form of EDI integration of some description. Then when that pricing intelligence comes in, it gets pumped through that filter of rules that you've set up, and then automatically updates your master system, your master product database with those updated prices that then get pushed out to the specific channels that you sell through, whether it be a POS, whether it be through your website, whether it be any other channels, pricing comparison, websites, marketplaces, etc., wherever else you may be selling at the time through social channels, etc. So this is very real technology. This all exists today. It does require some integration work, and typically that's all custom built, depending on what systems you're using for your back office and for your channel-based systems. So there is a little bit of custom development work required there, but that capability is absolutely where it is at today. Amazon today is currently updating prices, about 2.5 million prices per day. They clearly are not doing that with human beings. They're clearly using machine learning, deep AI, and automation to update their prices. They're monitoring competitors' websites. They're monitoring competitive prices of products that they sell themselves on their own marketplace up against other merchants that are selling on their marketplace. So they're dynamically adjusting those prices. They're also dynamically adjusting those prices based on your interactions with them to date. So they learn a lot of business intelligence about you every single time you buy. So they know exactly what kind of margins that they have to sell at to trigger a conversion on your behalf. They know what kind of promotions, they know what kind of bundles they have to recommend to you. They have deep intelligence. If you bought from Amazon even a handful of times, they have a tremendous amount of business intelligence based on that information that they know about you. So they will dynamically price down to the individual level. So not just market competitive, but down to the individual level. They're going to maximize the profit out of you, and they're going to maximize the opportunity to convert you into a customer by discounting just enough to get you to say yes, but not so much that they cut into margin that they don't need to give away. So that's a whole nother level above what I'm talking about, but certainly that technology is also out there, and it is also possible for you to mimic what Amazon does. It does require a lot more investment, does require a lot more integration, does require a lot better systems to do that in terms of that personalized pricing capability. However, from a promotional perspective, and like I said, we'll talk about this in future episodes, but personalizing promotions down to the customer level, so whether it be a coupon code for a specific discount, that can be personalized down to what's going to convert the best versus retaining as much margin as you can. We'll talk about that in future episodes. So hopefully this has been interesting for you. Like I said, that technology exists today. So if you're not doing any form of dynamic pricing or dynamic pricing updates, and you're doing everything manually today, your ability to respond to market forces in real time or near real time pretty much doesn't exist. And it's going to make it really difficult for you to stay agile, for you to stay competitive, and for you to maximize your margins wherever possible. Because oftentimes you'll be discounting beyond what you actually need to discount to actually get the market to purchase your products, especially when you bundle in, hopefully, the value you've been adding for your brand, for your service, for your delivery, and the other value adds you bring to the table. Oftentimes you won't need to be discounting as much as you think you will be, so long as you've got a track record of performance with your customers and you've got a loyal customer base. Oftentimes, even if you're that fraction a little bit higher than the marketplace, oftentimes you can continue to secure the sale because of the other value adds that you bring to the table and the strength of your brand. So you can A/B split test those rules that I talked about, those rules as prices come in and your prices get updated. You can play around with those rules. You can see what creates a better conversion rate. You can see what creates better margins for you. You can sacrifice a few sales if the margins are better and the conversion rate is higher. Then you can perhaps sacrifice a few gross sales in that scenario. So there's a whole lot of different testing that you'll need to do around your rule set to maximize the ROI out of your pricing structure, but well worth the time, well worth the investment, and well worth considering. So, open the dialogue. Let me know what your thoughts about dynamic pricing are. I believe that dynamic pricing is absolutely the future of e-commerce. I think that, in a few years' time, every website will be doing dynamic pricing. Market forces will dictate that in order to be competitive, everybody's going to have to be watching everybody else, and all pricing for the same brand of product is going to fall within a very narrow, tight range, and then the differentiation of brand and service and performance is really going to stand out more than ever before. So look forward to your thoughts about dynamic pricing and where e-commerce is going from a dynamic pricing perspective. Like I said, in future episodes, we'll talk a little bit more about personalization. We'll talk about personalization of promotions and discounts and EDMs and marketing automation and a whole lot of other stuff. So look forward to your thoughts and look forward to talking to you soon. Cheers.